Yo! Well, I spent about 20 days goofing around with this thing. Got a fancy box in the mail today. A Leeds e-bike kit. Says the box weighs 27.6 pounds. I didn't get a promotional deal on this or anything. I just bought it. I thought this was going to be the best kit that I'm going to like the most. Let's see what I got in this box. I got a manual, a bunch of zip ties, and some bar clampy looking things. A whole lot of paper. What's this? Oh, that's my charger. What we got here? One thing I liked about this kit is it's got their own waterproof cabling on it. It's all plug and play. I think it's going to be pretty much idiot proof. I like idiot proof. The Chinese Amazon kits, the cheaper ones, they don't have waterproof connectors on them or anything. So here's the throttle. They call it a variable speed throttle. Pedal assist sensor. Looks like it's got two different pieces. And it's got a sensor here that looks like I got a zip tie on somehow. More idiot-proof cables. Here's my little controller. Here's a box for a controller. I probably won't be using that. The dorky dangler. It's a torque arm. Oh, I got a cute little controller. Look at that. Isn't that cute? Ah, this must be a battery. I got a mount. And one big dorky 11 amp hour battery. With a key. So nobody steals it. I'm pretty sure if somebody wants to steal it, they're just going to steal the whole damn bike. Apparently this just goes on here somehow. Here we go. Like so. And then it locks. It's a Bafang 500 watt geared motor. I asked them how wide this rim was too, and they didn't tell me. They just told me what tires it fits. It's like all these spokes are bent. That's kind of odd. It's way skinnier than the rim I have. Looking like I'm gonna have to get a different rim for it or try to use this one. I'm gonna call the people that manufactured this thing and tell them I don't like what I see. Try to get something else going on there. So there's the whole kit anyways. It looks pretty special with the exception of this rim. I'll just try to stop complaining about that. This cable here that goes into this bike motor is a little too long. I probably only need about an extra foot. So I gotta hide all of this. And then the battery, they don't give me any extension cord for this at all. So that's the only length that I have, and this is going to be in the back of the bike and this is going to be in the front, so I'm going to need about an extra 5 feet of wire for this. Looks like I'm going to have plenty enough wiring for this pedal assist sensor in the throttle. So yeah, this wire goes into both of those. That should be way too long enough. There's a lot of laws in other countries I've been reading about too that have a switch in the brake levers, so a lot of them sell you brake levers with it too, so when you hit the brakes it shuts off the motor somehow. I don't see the point in even doing that. I mean, like, motorcycles don't have anything like that. A car doesn't have like yeah, oh yeah, I hit the brakes and it kills the engine. Oh yeah, puts it in neutral. Yeah, okay. No, that sounds like the dumbest idea ever. And this state also calls for 1,000 watts or less of power. Some go down to 250, so all this stuff's going to be legal in my state. So I suppose I emailed these guys about this rim. I'm going to try to hear back from them about that. And in the meantime, I'm just going to start putting all this other stuff on the bike. Since I'm going to be putting my battery back here somewhere. Yeah, it looks like it's going to fit like that somehow. There's some tabs under here for some straps or something. I'm probably going to have to cut those out. I guess I can start by trying to get this rat trap off of here. I'm going to take that off. Jeez, how am I going to get this off of here? Looking like I'm going to have to do a little surgery. Probably don't need to cut all the way through these. I'll just bust them loose one at a time. I got a hold of the people at Leeds. Told them I wasn't satisfied with this rim because we had a little miscommunication error there. And he said he'd give me a good deal. All I got to do is spend more money on chrome. So I'm giving him my rear hub and this motor and rim, and he's going to relace everything in chrome. So bye-bye. Went to Axeman Surplus, digging around in all their junk, and this is all I could figure on doing with this. Because $2.50, 1/4-inch plexiglass. There it is. I guess I'll be doing the pedal assist thing on here. They got a reluctor here, 12 magnet, and it's 2-piece, which is kind of cool because I don't have to take the crankset off then to put it on. I'd like to put it on the inside of the sprocket, but most of these are programmed and set up to be left side drive. If it's on the right side, it reads backwards. I think there's a program for it. I have this sensor I'm supposed to put on the inside here, and it just, if the chain ever falls off or goes in, it'll just make a big mess, and that chain will totally destroy this stuff. So I'm pretty sure that's why they put it all on the left side. This thing's kind of unsightly though. It's just a big black ugly reluctor that just sits on there, and then this big black ugly thing's supposed to get zip tied down to one of these two tubes. And I put a little double stick foamy 3M stuff I had laying around on here too. There wasn't any tape on there. I want to tape it down to where I want it and then zip tie it down. That's kind of my thought behind that. All this stuff is black though. I kind of don't like that. Nothing a little aluminum tape and mother's aluminum polish can't fix. Yeah, it don't look the greatest, but it's better than black. It's non-ferrous too, so it shouldn't affect the magnets much. So you just put this on here like so. The thing looks like a candy bar wrapper. Don't like how that flops around like that. I guess that's the way they want it. The candy bar wrapper is on. It looks better than black, that's for sure. And then the sensor I'm going to put on this tube here, I think. So there's a little cross on here. And that's got to line up with the magnet. So I'm just going to fold this thing all the way open. You're supposed to have like a 4mm gap in here. 2 to 5. Peel this sticker off. It'll keep it from moving around after I zip tie it. I'm sure without this sticker, if I just zip tie it, it'll move around a lot. So I think that'll help keep it in place. That should be pretty close enough. So I'm thinking that's going to work just fine right where it's at. And then they give you some black zip ties with the kit because everything's black. I won't be having any of that. I got chrome zip ties. Isn't that fancy? A lot of people just take a scissors or a side cutters and just cut these zip ties. I always like to use a razor blade because it gets a nice clean cut. And you got no sharp edges there either. Nice. I got some braiding. I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but this isn't metal. The metal stuff scratches metal and chrome, and this is like a mylar. It's kind of cool stuff. I'm going to wrap all my wires in that. This is 5/16, and it stretches out to like 3/8. It's really easy to work with too. You can't cut it though. You cut it with a regular knife and it frays. So even the instructions tell you got to use a hot knife to cut it. So you can use a soldering iron. I got this soldering iron with a hot knife end on it. And they say you're supposed to use a hot knife. Just burn right through it. And then you got some nice ends that don't fray real easy. I have my wires on. Just zip tie them down. You got to loosen up to where I can turn the bars to the right and left and it doesn't rub on anything. Then I just zip tied the wires to my front rack. So I got the power wire for the rear I'll put on too. I hid it down under the bike and ran it up the fender with Gorilla Tape. I got a waterproof connector coming. I had to mail order it because I couldn't find anything decent locally. So I got to cut this. And I'm going to put this end on the controller in my bag. And then I'll finish the wiring when I get my connector. I hooked up my cute little throttle and my controller thing. That all fit in the bag pretty good. I got chrome annoying blinking taillight and a chrome headlight. I got 12 gauge stranded wire here. A 4-foot run of this should be good for 30 amps. This should be a 15 amp system, and generally anytime you're doing wiring you want to double the amperage of the amount of current that you're using. I checked the fuse in the battery pack too. There's a 30 amp fuse in the battery, so this should be good. All I could find for waterproof connectors, I wanted waterproof and I wanted a 2-pin connector, or these Delphi 2-pin waterproof connectors. These should be good for 30 amps too. This end of the plug I want to keep for the front. You don't like this. I think I'm going to cut this back a little and try to put it back on here. Apparently this is going to void my warranty too. Got these little waterproof doojima jobbers on here. I'm going to try to strip these one size higher. Yeah, 14. This is 16 gauge wire. Oh my gosh. This stuff is incredibly tiny. I want to be careful not to wreck the strands. I got one of these fancy units for this. It's a dual crimper. Female always goes on power. There, that should be a really nice waterproof connection there. There. Snapped in there real nice. That's how you make a waterproof connection. Now you just need to do the same with this side. Well, that's how I got that. These little holders you put on the connector, they were blue. I Sharpied them black, so they're not completely blue anymore. Fairly incognito. I really wish they gave me more wire to work with, but I put waterproof connectors on this too. I didn't use any solder because you're not supposed to. Anybody that uses solder on these connections don't know what they're doing. Looks like all I have left to plug in is the motor for the front. So I might as well try to power this up and see if anything smokes. Put that on like that. Lock it down with a key. Well, nothing's smoking yet, amazingly enough. Power it up, see what happens. You got a little blue light. Nothing's smoking. See if I can turn this controller on. It says I got power. I'm on 2 speed. Basically, I just want to see if this LED lights up. And it does. Then I go forward and it blinks, and I go backwards and it doesn't blink at all. So if I put it on the crank side, this wouldn't even work. I got an error code. It's probably telling me I need a motor. That's the last thing I got to plug in. Turn that off. Turn it back on. Yeah, codes clear themselves, just like OBD1. Alright, it's been a good couple of weeks. I got 2 boxes from them today. They said they were going to give me a 24mm rims. Well, that looks like something I can be satisfied with. They say they're chrome. Looks more like polished aluminum. And that other rim they said was silver, but their silver was like a matte finish. It wasn't shiny at all. Yep, that's 24 millimeters. Well, I'm glad I took a look at this and trust absolutely no one. They laced this wheel and they didn't put any washers behind the nipples. The original rim had washers. I also took the rim tape off of this one because there's spokes poking out past the rim. I don't know if you can see that, but that can pop a tire. There's a bunch of them. I gotta cut those down. So before I start off on my little rant, I'm just gonna say right off that I've never built an e-bike before. I've never even ridden an e-bike before. I just thought it'd be cool to make one. And from what I've seen with these wheel builders and stuff, there's gotta be a better idea because this is absolutely wrong. Humans didn't build a wheel and then breed a horse, okay? The horse came first, okay? So like a train came first before a car. So people aren't gonna take train wheels and drive them on the road. Just like you're not gonna take a car rim and put it on a train track. Okay, there's a difference between a bicycle rim and a motorcycle or a scooter rim. And people are trying to take a motor, this big thing, and drive it on a bicycle rim. For one, this motor's huge. So that makes it wrong right there because any motorcycle and scooter rim has offset holes in them. Kind of like this, only much more pronounced. They're actually indented and they're facing the way of the spokes so you don't bend the spokes. Because motorcycle spokes are not supposed to be bent, and neither are these. So I'm going to try to make something to try to mitigate this problem that these people are selling me. Okay, let me start off with dilemma number one. These rims are made for a 14G spoke nipple, and they're building these wheels with 13G nipples and 13G spokes, which are larger in diameter. So when I put a nipple in here, the hole is too small and it doesn't really move that much. I initially tried to lace this without doing any of that. And I just drilled these holes out a little bit and put washers in here because there's a whole lot of dish on this, meaning that this side is, the spokes are more straight, and this side they're more at an angle going out that way. So that means this side needs to be tighter than this side. And I'm getting this side so tight that it's starting to bend the tips of my spoke nipples, and I'm starting to just destroy the things. So I got a better spoke wrench coming, I got more spoke nipples coming, and I'm gonna try to do some other stuff here. And also, before I even started, I checked the tension on this side, the side with less dish, and some of these spoke nipples were so loose I can't imagine they would even stay tight. I bought myself a box of number 8 stainless flat washers for this, and I noticed that the nipples that I'm ruining have a nice groove in the taper. I think it's from these washers. I'm pretty sure I did that. So I went digging around in my toolbox, and I have a valve stem tool for air conditioning. This side I'm flattening out pretty well and ruining, but it's tapered really nice on here. And I'm taking my washer and I'm putting it on here like this because it fits just perfect on there. And then I have a 3/16 line nut. It's got a little taper on that too. I'm going to put that over like this. I suppose if you're going to do something like this, you can use a vise or maybe even a C-clamp. I got a 20-ton press, so I'm going to use it. Just crush that down a little bit. And I'm making myself some conical washers. And those should work really nice. It'll fit my nuts really well. That taper's just perfect. I had to go online and buy a bunch more stuff. 2.34 millimeter spoke nipples I had to buy. I couldn't find any locally in any bike shops. Nobody had these things. And then I got a spoke nipple from Taiwan. I couldn't find any one of those that fit either without spending a gazillion dollars. I think it's like a 4.2 millimeter or something. So I got a needle file set from Harbor Freight, and I just pulled out the square one and just filed the thing down until it fit the nipples that I got. I wanted a four-sided one too because it won't strip out as easy. I have one of these things, but like the number 12 was too big and the number 13 was a little too tight and a little too small, so I'm pretty much better off just making what I want. So I'm going to take these spokes off one at a time. I'm going to try to bend this back to straight because it's a little bit bent. That one's not too bad. I got a numbered drill bit set, and a numbered 16 is the same size as the hole. That's about 4.5 millimeter. And they say for these 13G spoke nipples, I'm supposed to have a 5.5 millimeter hole, but I don't think I want to go up that high because this rim isn't made for it. So I'm going to step it up to a number 5 drill, which is about 5 millimeter. I'm just going to envision some guesswork and just drill it kind of at an angle facing the spoke nipple hole. Really don't have to take a whole lot of metal out of it. I got a little burr. I can use a deburring tool and deburr it a little bit. Deburring tool. I got my nipples in my washers. I'm soaking in some air tool oil. Figured it'd probably be a good idea to have them a little oily. And stick this in the hole, and yeah, that thing moves around now. I got to do that 36 times. I have this rim laced up and ready to go. Them spokes seem a lot less bent. I think I did okay on that. This side's a lot tighter too. And it's nice and true. It's fun. I use this thing. Rear wheel alignment tool for Harley Davidson. Motion Pro. I don't know when the last time it was I used that thing. But I just zip tied it to my fork so I could use it to help true my stuff. I'm kind of at odds with this washer here. It's in there, so I'm going to use it, but I was thinking if this nut loosens up at all and this motor's torquing, this washer right here is just going to increase the torque on this fork and help spread it out more so it'd fall out even easier. You know, usually when you got a motor that drives something, there's usually a through bolt, or it's splined, or it's keyed, or something to keep this thing on. And they got this goofy thing here I'm supposed to put on here, like, I don't know, like this or something. I'm supposed to put a hose clamp on this arm and put this on here or something stupid. I don't understand how they, whatever. So I made my own stuff out of a hinge. I'm going to use these 2 bolts here. So that'll go on like this, so it'll work like a through bolt. So if anything does happen, this thing's not going to drop out at all. It'll just stay in there. Then I won't die. I got one on each side for that. I don't know why these people are manufacturing such idiotic stuff. I would think that there would be a market to make a fork in a rim that'll work with a motor, because this stuff it's not right. I don't care who you are. Anyways, that's my system. That's what I'm gonna do. I keep wondering if I should just leave this dorky dangler sitting on here like this, like a gremlin bell for a Harley Davidson. So when I'm driving down the road, it'll sit there and jingle, and people that think they know what they're doing can go, oh, your dorky dangler. Oh, it's dangling. Oh, you're gonna die. Oh. I think I'm gonna do it. Okay, I have everything hooked up. Now for the moment of truth. Turn this thing on. Power. It works. Oh yeah. I guess that does freewheel pretty nice once it gets moving. Not a whole lot of drag on them geared motors. Sweet! It's a worker. Yeah, one final thing for a personal touch. Had a little custom head badge made up for me. Oh yeah. This thing weighs an absolute ton now. I still weigh 180 pounds soaking wet. $238. So essentially I just built a 58-pound bike. Thought I'd start off my maiden voyage in Mounds Park. Looks like Canada's still burning. Everything's pretty smoky. Smells like burnt toast. This is what it looks like in the day. Super fancy. That guy needs a motor. He's walking up the hill. Looks like it does about 22 miles an hour flat out. Nothing to change my shorts over. And this is the part where I go riding off into the sunset. Okay, bye.